Good. These are really good. I think it's because this usually ends up being my first set of hits. I don't know. Okay, big question is, what am I doing? And the simple answer is, I'm doing a movement drill that I started doing today. Today's the very first time I've ever done this. These are PT hostage targets from Action Target, and I've used them infinite amount of times since I've had them, which I believe I got these 09 or 2010, I forget. I was a magazine writer back then. I was trying to set up my target, my range with steel, and I had a 100-yard, 50-yard by 100-yard range on property at my home. And so I reached out to Action Target and asked them for some targets, and these have been the most instrumental, most useful of all the targets that I've had over the years. They're heavy. This is a plus. They're heavy because they're full steel. They are incredibly resistant to any wind issues, and as you can tell, it's blowing pretty hard out here today. You can easily reface them with paint. These are 550 Brunel through-hardened armor plate steel. You take the lollipop, and now you've got basically an IPSC center. So you can paint a small target in the middle of the target. I wouldn't shoot here, nor would I shoot here. Wherever there's welding that has occurred, the temper of the steel is ruined, but these targets are not designed to be shot here. They're designed to be shot on the lollipop. But in a pinch, if you're going to work centrally, say zeroing purposes or whatever, you can work here in the middle portion of the target, and I have many times over the years. But with the hostage paddle in place, it's the best useful. It's the best target. The reason they're painted like this is I'm restricting myself to roughly a 3-inch target under stress, because I want to maximize the aim small, miss small ethos. When you go to Rogers Range, which ironically is outfitted with challenge target steel. I'm sorry, with Action Target steel. There are two companies that I work with, Challenge Target and Action Target. When you attend Rogers Range, ironically the entire place is outfitted in Action Target steel. The ethos that is trained into you is aim small, miss small, which is why you're shooting at very, very tiny targets on the actual overall target. But what you get is the ability to visualize. Look, especially with handgun. I mean, with an optic equipped handgun, you are now visualizing that bullet onto the threat, as opposed to front sight, rear sight, equal height, equal light. All that goes out the window, and all you're doing at that point is just reactive shooting. So steel trains you faster than anything else. What I have set up here is a linear. Actually, let me back up because I don't want to get sidetracked. What I set out to do today was to find a series of movement drills that required me to move a lot, shoot a decent amount, not a bunch of ammo, but shoot a decent amount, but get movement more than anything else. And what I have found consistently over all my years of training, because I no longer shoot at established ranges, I will, like I said, I used to have my own range, so I could do whatever I wanted, pretty much whenever I wanted. And then when I sold that property and we moved, things changed. And by the generosity of a friend from church, I now have access to this property, so I'm still able to do things, within reason. And I don't like static shooting drills. I hate them, because static shooting is what gets people hurt and or killed in gunfights. Moving is what helps. Even if it's just turning, just practice moving so that you're not always acquiring a target that's directly out in front of you. And this target is this other target is offset over my shoulder for a reason, so that when I approach, as you see me walking toward these targets, and the shot timer sounds, I'm not engaging that target. Whichever target is to my back, I must engage first. So I rotate, identify the target, draw, and go to it. So here's what ends up happening. My foot positioning is not that perfect canned thing that is taught to you in the academy. Actually, here, let me just cut to the chase. How many of you out here have ever done milsim? I don't mean airsoft in the backyard with your buddies. I mean behaving as if the BBs coming out of your weapons are real bullets. So you're actually giving it a level of attention and respect that it needs. If you do milsim, you realize that when stuff is incoming, there is no pretty movement. It is getting out of the area as fast as possible. And what I'm doing every time that I have to engage the target, I don't shoot at it like this because you're there. I don't want to hit my tripod. I've already dinged. These tripods are really expensive. They're not even made anymore. They're made by Manfrotto, an Italian company. And these are really getting hard to find. And so I actually try to move off and center up on the target. Well, what did I just do when I did that? Well, technically I crossed my feet. You can do this, which is the way you're taught, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to turn and move to set back up again. And look, my feet are not evenly squared out there. One is pointed that way, one is pointed this way. They're not feet shoulders width apart, which is what we're taught as cops and or soldiers. And then when you rotate, you start going after this guy. Part of the way this drill works is I must square up on the target, once again, because of the camera. I must square up on the target, but the other issue is my forerunner is there. So I want to make sure my bullets are going in a, is there ammo? Yeah, there's ammo. I want to make sure my bullets are going in a linear fashion into that target, because I don't want to accidentally, ooh, that was on the edge. I don't want to accidentally skip around into my forerunner. Now here's what I do know about shooting steel. The thing that's going to get hit more than anything else is going to be that rear view mirror. But there's enough of a, I'm going to say this is probably 6 feet, 7 feet forward of the position of the vehicle. And bullets, when they hit steel, go like this, and when they're canted forward, go like this and like this. And this stuff, the gravel doesn't react. Guys, you'll notice I'm shooting very close. I'm not particularly worried about getting hit. I've done this for many years. I've shot steel for many years. I'm not worried about getting hit. My only concerns are tripod, camera, and vehicle. But I know that I have this drill set up so that I'm not going to get hit, cameras aren't going to get hit, and the vehicle's not going to get hit. But when these targets are set off, in other words, I'm not doing a linear drill, so meaning this target is here and that target is not directly behind. By having the targets off center from one another, it forces me to rotate. It forces me to rotate, see the threat, and go at the threat, and then square up on the threat and close on the threat just a little bit before I take that shot and then move. And that one hit over there. It forces me to hop, skip, and sometimes if I begin here, and I'm here, and my first shot kind of goes like that, and the lollipop swings over, I still force myself to move before I shoot it again. Because what I'm after here is movement. More than anything else, I'm after movement. Move, stop, stabilize, shoot, move, and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Move, stop, stabilize, shoot, move. And I do it over and over and over again, because what I don't want to do is have to think about any one of those things. Move, stop, stabilize, shoot, move. Move, stop, stabilize, shoot, move. How do we survive gunfights? By moving. By stopping, by stabilizing, by launching well-aimed rounds at the bad guy, and moving again before they have the opportunity to react to us. And an optic-equipped handgun is such a force multiplier. This Glock 17 with an RMR on it, with an RMR on it, has the ability to turn this handgun into two, because it now has accuracy and speed And as long as I've got enough ammo on me, and I carry 21 rounders as my backups, as long as I've got enough ammo on my person, I can keep laying down a lot of heat down range to get people's attention away from somebody else and or keep them off balance. Now, I do not in any way whatsoever kid myself. No one is able to go against a person with a rifle for an extended period of time and or multiple people. And I'll close with this thought. Several years ago, hang on a second. The wind is pretty vicious out here. Several years ago, I was talking with one of my mentors. He is a former Special Forces operator himself who, upon retirement, continued to train the forces for the Special Forces operators community. And he told me something, well, I don't have a problem saying his name, Ken Hackathorn. Ken is a man who speaks his mind, and he paid me a compliment several years ago. He says, Abner, your level of focus on handgun is something that I respect because you put the work in. And I remember him telling me, you've reached a level of proficiency where you can go a much longer period of time without touching a handgun and still have enough retained to do well. But I don't kid myself, guys. I come out here every few days. I make it a point to come out here and put the work in, and I've got to leave in 43 minutes to pick up my son. So I know that I don't have a lot of time. I've got to come out here. I made slings this morning. I got to come out here, I got to put in the work, and I got to go. And there we go. I made it a point to listen to him, and I actually distinctly remember when this conversation occurred. I just come back from, I think it was SHOT Show. And I remember calling him and I asked him, I'm trying to remember what it was I was doing. I just done a training class, and it was a real eye-opener of a class. And I got my tail handed to me in MilSim, and part of it had to do with the fact that a couple of the guys that I was working with really weren't taking it seriously, which is really irritating, because if you're the guy who's taking it seriously and the other people you're working with are treating it like they're water pistols, then you're never going to do well, because they have no fear of incoming rounds. And so it kind of popped something off in my head, and I thought, how many people could you actually realistically take? And I asked him. He said, two if you're really good, and 3 if you've got the drop on them. I'm gonna let that sit there for a second. 2 if you're really good, and 3 if you've got the drop on them. Now ask yourself that question. What does that actually mean? If you have surprise on your side and the phrase violence of action, so you have to be willing to immediately unleash a level of violence that even they don't expect. And then if you have a third guy, hope to God that he's disoriented from the gunfire and from watching his buddies going down. This digital hearing protection is very cool at giving me full triangulation. These are HD Phantoms from Sound Gear, and I could triangulate that sound of the barking dog, as in specifically over there. And I wanted to make sure there wasn't a dog coming through the woods my way. Anyways, when he said that, I remember going, wow, that's huge, because when you watch the John Wick movies, he's taking on 6 guys at a time. And, we can actually stop there as an example. You've seen the Hollywood stuntmen, like they take a hit, whether it be a punch or a bullet, and they tend to do this for a moment because it's their job to eat time so the actor can finish what they're doing and then rotate and finish them off. But in reality, if you're dealing with people who know what they're doing, are dedicated in killing, maybe wearing body armor, you're in trouble. So getting the drop on people is crucial. And that's why I set up this drill. I've got extra targets that I can set up too, but my vehicle is in the way and I don't want to, totally go off the rails. Plus this this gets it. This drill, every time the lollipop moves, I treat it as the bad guy having moved or someone else with them. Maybe two people here. One here, one here. Which is why, like I told you before, I'm moving. Whether I shoot it here and it moves this way, I still will force myself to move up and set up for another shot because I'm practicing twitching my feet around and staying upright. I'd rather take a spill out here and get scraped up really bad because this is gravel and it's an uneven surface. I'd rather practice falling, taking falls here and being able to actually survive and stay upright in a real fight than learning how to do this for the first time in a real fight. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I spend easily 95% of my time on handgun, probably higher than that, because handgun is a decaying, handgun is a skill that decays rapidly. Like within days of not shooting, you can actually quantify performance decay with handgun. Rifle, you can go for months and months and months and not touch a rifle. And as long as you understand the basics of the mechanics of how to pick it up, rack it, safety off, shoulder it, fire. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Pick it up, rack it, shoulder it, decide, safety off, and shoot. There, I got it right. You're gonna be okay with a rifle. With a handgun, it's a whole nother world. And remember, there's a lot of technique that goes into just doing, see, yeah, my hands are still stinking dry. There's a lot of technique that goes into just doing this cleanly. Now imagine, wouldn't it be beautiful if this was your fight and this was only your fight? But here's the reality of this drill. If this guy is coming at me and I have to push him, and then maybe he draws something and I have to shoot him, and then his buddy maybe pops a shot at me and I've got to rotate and shoot at him, I've got a problem on my hands. And if I don't know how to rotate, if I don't know how to move, stop, stabilize, shoot, move, I'm in trouble. So I think that's what I've got for you guys. Shooting steel is crucial. Shooting steel in good repair is crucial. And these targets, the mass of these targets is so considerable. I like them because they don't move. They're very reactive to bullet hits. They give you all the feedback that you're looking for. And stuff like this trains you rapidly. I have falling targets, but I've actually found that falling targets suck up so much of your time for reset, that stuff like this is actually the better choice to go with. So anyways, that's what I've got for you guys today. I thank you so much for supporting me at tier1citizen.com because it keeps me independent from corporate intrusion, and there's a lot of it. There are a lot of Chinese tactical gear manufacturers that are trying to get their junk into the country, and there are a lot of unwitting is the word I'm looking for. There are a lot of unwitting dupes who are helping them. They just don't know any better because all they see is dollar signs. Trust me, guys. I should be clear. I am not wealthy. That is not a TRD. That is a Forerunner that I got used for under $32,000, and it's a two-wheel drive. I got it because I needed something big enough to haul my entire family around it. Wife and two kids. My wife and I work, both of us work consistently 5 days a week, 10 hours minimum a day. My wife, God bless her, is out of bed earlier than I am, and it's usually pre-6 a.m. when she's up and on her feet. And I'm out of bed about 20 to 30 minutes after she is. And we both make the bed, and she goes off to work to do her thing, and I take the kids to school sometimes, or she takes them to school sometimes, and we do not stop until about 10 o'clock at night sometimes. Owning your own business, you're working long hours. So I thank you for supporting me at tier1citizen.com because this channel is about giving you guys unfettered truth to help you be the best tier 1 citizen you can be. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.